There is another video which shows how to place manually the various pieces of the ArchiveMethod system into the right locations so that a database becomes a participating database. While this can be done manually, it also can be done with the assistance of the ArchiveMethod database. I'll demonstrate this methodology in this video. Let's open the ArchiveMethod database, and you want to go to the Miscellaneous menu and select Participating Databases. In this window, you can see all the relevant information. For a database to be a participating one, it needs to be registered with ArchiveMethod by adding that database to this list here. There's an additional list here which shows you all the locations of the various files on your hard drive. These files, or at least many of them, would come with the distribution of ArchiveMethod, and you might have downloaded them onto your hard drive, but you have to tell ArchiveMethod where those files currently reside. Over here in the left lower corner of the window is a graphic showing a fictional database called foo and where all the various pieces are placed to make foo a participating database. The key ones are the ArchiveMethod macro here and the AMC component here. That component is supported by these three files which are stored in the resources folder. None of these have to be present to actually have the low-level functionality of a participating database. They simply supplement it. So let's go ahead now and add a database. So we'll go to this Add button, and we're going to be adding a version 14 database, so we'll check off V14, and we'll select a database. For an example, I'm going to use the Tide database here. We're going to be navigating to the structure file to tell ArchiveMethod where this particular database is, and we'll select that and say Open. Once that's selected, we'll add to the participating database. And here we see the listing for that database. This is the location. And these other columns here can tell you whether ArchiveMethod is able to find these other files. It can find the component, gives you a date of when that version was created, and it can tell you the macro is present in the preferences file and the list of 4D commands file and my library. All these files are in place for the Tide database. If I click on it, I can see down here a graphic of that database with all its various pieces in position. This is a fully participating database. So let's go and enter a brand new database. And it's also a version 14 database. I'm going to select it. Here is that database, and I'm navigating to the structure file, opening it, and now I'm going to add it to the list. Now you can see here that these various components are absent. It does have the macro for the ArchiveMethod, but it doesn't have a component and all these support files are missing. So let's see if we can automate placement of some of these components. Our next task is to place them or find them on the hard drive so that this archive method utility will know where they are. So first we'll start with the component. Click on that, and the Find button lets me navigate. And again, we'll look in this folder, which I've labeled ArchiveMethod Stuff from Bareboat. You can look in that file. And we're looking for the structure file, or the component rather. And there's the folder that contains it, and here is the component, and we're navigating to the 4DC file, which is here, and we open it. And sure enough, this records that it currently knows the path to that particular file. The other one that we'll go get at the moment is this file here. So I'll click on that and say Find. And now I'm finding this list of 4D commands. So again, we'll go to this folder that contains all this stuff, and I'll find that folder, and here is the text file that I'm looking for. I'll say Open there, and now it displays the path to that particular file. Now let's say I want to bring into the brand new database this component which is currently absent. So first I highlight that database. Now I'm going to highlight the row here and click on this button to place in the participating database. I click on that and I get notified that it has been placed. Now you'll see that the component is actually now in place for the brand new database. When I look at the graphic, this is what I see. The component is now in place. I still don't have these other files down here. But we're going to go ahead and take this file and do the same thing. Place it in the brand new database. And now, in fact, we can see that that file is recognized. If I click on this, I now can see that this particular file now exists. These other two files are files created by the user rather than files coming from Bareboat. And I'll draw your attention to this AMC Preferences file. This is a file that determines where exports are going to land on your hard drive when they originate from the component. To show you how that works, we're going to go ahead and hit Done here and go to the user preference. ArchiveMethod itself can export its files to various locations. The default is the desktop, and that's what's been selected currently. But I could make this a custom folder, or I could choose this alternative folder, but for now we're going to choose a custom folder. And it remembers from the past that I used this path for the custom folder. You'll note that there's this button here which is to create the AMC preference. And what it'll do is create this text file and put it into a folder near my root location. And I can manually put that file in the appropriate position relative to participating databases so that the components will also send their exports to the same custom folder. So I'll just click on this button for now, and a notification window comes up, and it tells me that ArchiveMethod actually knows about 2 participating databases. And it's going to go ahead and place this AMC preference file in the correct location relative to those 2 databases. Now, there could be other databases that you are running that have not been registered by ArchiveMethod and therefore will not show up. And so it will, in addition, create this text file and just put it in this folder at the root location. So we'll say done to that. And now we'll go back and look at the participating databases. And if I look at the brand new database, I now see that the AMC preference file is in place. This was all done automatically by ArchiveMethod and is somewhat of a convenience. So this is simply a description of how you can use ArchiveMethod to help deal with the problem of placing files in the appropriate locations. If I go to other functions, such as exporting multiple methods, you can see here you have the ability to create the AMCD library text file. If I go ahead and do that now, I've just arbitrarily selected a few methods. They're going to end up in that text file. I'll go ahead and hit this, and it tells me what happened, that it exported 12 methods into this folder, and it ends up in this updates at this root location. And I'll say done. If I go to participating databases, you'll see that it does not automatically put that file in place. This particular file is one that one tends to customize, or might tend to customize for specific purposes, and not actually want spread widely through all of your participating databases. This file right here, which is the list of 4D commands, will automatically spread if you create your own customized version of that file. That's done here in the commands of 4D. And here's this button that says create a text file containing the data for the component. If I click on that, this same kind of information window comes up telling me that this file was created and placed into position for these 2 registered databases. Why would you be doing this? Because this already comes with the 4D with the bareboat distribution. Well, the reason is that, as you may know, you can modify this database of all the 4D methods and change, for example, your description. And if you were to change it, then you can export the changed version and have that show up in all of your participating databases. So anyway, that's a quick review of what you can do to use ArchiveMethod itself to help manage your participating databases. None of this is necessary. All these file transfers into these locations can be done manually, but this eases the job, particularly if you